Should I raise the change request and then do an impact analysis? Or should I do an impact analysis first and then raise the change request? As a project manager, you might be getting confused about this sequence, especially when you are dealing with a PMP exam. So in this video, I am clarifying this particular sequence. Now let's start with the sequence which I believe one should follow in order to handle the change request. First thing, or I would say step 0, is to understand, does this particular situation qualify for change management process? Do I need to recognize this situation as a change, or I can just do it and modify my project related document or a project management plan and get things moving? In a day as a project manager, you might be facing 100 things which are different than the project schedule or a project management plan, and you need to adapt to it. There is always emerging situation, and you don't raise change request for all those things. For example, you have one engineer who is not available tomorrow, and he may say there is someone else who can do this job, or I want to postpone my job for one day. And you will say, okay, you may update the project schedule without raising the change request, because you understand this thing may not impact the overall scheme, and we can still continue working as we have been working. We have a sufficient contingencies around it. So you may not necessarily raise a change request or think of raising a change request for such kind of changes which may come multiple times during the day. Now, in the similar fashion, if there is a stakeholder who is expected to attend a scope validation or a validate scope kind of a process tomorrow, and he sends you an email that, I'm not available tomorrow at my place, someone else will come and he will do the scope validation, and that's what we are planning to do. Now, in that case, you may want to recognize this situation as a change. You may want to raise a change request just to document that, is it okay to have this person approving the part of the scope? Is it matching with our overall integrated project plan? Because if we have some weaknesses here, we may face a problem later. So you may want to do for a similar thing, there is a replacement of one person with the another person, but in a one particular situation, you don't even think of raising a change request, whereas in another situation, you may need to raise a change request for understanding and taking an approval. Is it okay to take an approval from the other stakeholder? So whenever some situation is coming, I'm using a word situation, which requires some deviation from your agreed upon approach, I need to qualify that situation and understand, should I call it a change? And how do I qualify that? With the help of my change management plan. So in my change management plan, I explain in which all situation I need to follow a change control process, in which all situation the change control process may not be needed. Yeah, that's the first thing I need to do before I even recognize something as a change. Now, in order to do that, I might need to do some amount of impact analysis. It's not a detailed impact analysis, but sufficient enough which tells me, is this something qualify for change? So I would say that there could be some amount of impact analysis coming as a situation arises, because in your change management plan, you understand the situations and qualify them change or not change based on the impact they make on the project management plan. So that's a step 0. Now, once you understand that this thing has to be qualified for change, you take it next and you raise a change request. Now, I'm using a word I'm using a word raise, but raise doesn't mean that it is an approved or decision has been taken. It means that you have initiated the change request process. So which means there is an ID assigned to it. In your product management system or whatever PMIS you use, there might be some form where you fill the details and it generates some number, and it has some areas which one has to fill, that why do you need this change, or how do you know this qualify for change, what are the business justifications for it, based on your organization process asset which you have agreed upon in your project management plan. You have some format of filling the information to recognize this particular change request. So you initiate that particular change. That's a step 1. So step 0 is qualifying. Is it a change or not change? Once you understand this is a change, you do the first thing by filling up the change request form, and it might be called as an initiating of a change request. Now, once that is done, the step 2, you may have some first level of filters you may apply in order to understand, is there any predefined decision already taken for these kind of a changes? So sometime you may have a decision, any requirement related changes cannot be considered for next 1 month. Whatever it is there, please record and defer them. So you may say, okay, I am recording your change request, you inform the stakeholder, but it is getting delayed for the next month. Next month only we will have a review related to it. So as of now, it is deferred or delayed. So you may have some decisions which are already understood or already taken by the project management board, by the change control board, and based on those filters, you might be able to communicate decisions on those change requests. Now you may wonder why the first place even I raise those change requests if I already know what has to be done. You may want to document them because the stakeholder has raised a concern and it may require some future analysis. So you understand it qualify for change as per your change management plan, and that's why you are registering it, and you are applying first level filters because something has been already agreed upon, something has been already decided, and if this particular change request matches with those filter, you take the decision, you communicate the stakeholder about the decision, and you kind of stop the flow. It's done. From it may have a status of approved, rejected, or delayed, or whatever it is based on the first filter, but the work is over in the step 2 alone. Assuming this particular change request is not over in the step 2, it goes to a step 3. And the step 3 is the impact analysis. So what you will do as a project manager, you will assign the subject matter experts, assuming they need to look into it, and they are expected to produce the sufficient amount of impact analysis depending upon the nature of the change request. You identify who all need to be involved, and you as a project manager is accountable for aggregating the impact analysis for the change control board. So that's, in my language, I will say that is the impact analysis. Now at a step 0 also you did some level of impact analysis, but if I have to use the word, I will use impact analysis for this step 3. Yeah, the step 0 was more like a qualifying change kind of an analysis. The step 3 is the one which is done in the detailed format, and project manager may take help from a subject matter experts to do it, and finally the project manager integrates everything and bring the impact at a one place, one document or one information which is understood. So step 3 is an impact analysis. Now once that is done, then based on the impact which this analysis produces, the project manager may find out what level of change control board is needed to make that particular decision. So in your change management plan, you might have identified that changes till this level can be taken care by level 1, changes beyond this level go to level 2, changes beyond this level goes to level 3. So maybe based on the impact on cost, maybe based on the impact on timelines, you have these levels identified. So once this impact analysis comes in, the step 3 is visible to you. You understand the major severity of that particular change, and accordingly you put it to a change control board, a respective change control board. Now usually there could be a frequent meetings of these change control board where they can be discussing all these change requests. That's one way of handling it. In some cases you may have your product or a project management system where you can assign the people, and they take their decision on a workflow itself by approving and rejecting, and based on their decisions you can aggregate the final decision and move the change request forward. So you may have a structure for handling this kind of a change request. For a simplicity sake, we can understand there was a meeting there is expected to be a meeting which happens every week, and in the step 5 they take that particular decision related to the change request. So if I summarize again, step 0 is a qualifying, step 1 is initiating the change request, the step 2 is identifying and applying the filters if there is a predefined decision has been taken, the step 3 is assigning and working with the respective stakeholders or subject matter experts who does the impact analysis, and step 4 is identification based on the impact analysis, identification of the right change control board, and then step 5 is putting this change request in front of a change control board for the decision making. So assuming at a step 5 we get the decision, and the kind of workflow may reach to an approved stage, may reach to a rejected stage. The change request may get approved, change request may get rejected, change request may get deferred for the next meeting or for the next release, and those kind of a decision can be done. So impact analysis, I believe, happens in between. And finally you have a final status to a change request. Once you get a final status, you put into the change log, you have that information. According to the final status, you initiate the communication which goes to various stakeholders who are interested in that particular change. And based on the impact of the change, it may update project management documents, it may update your project baseline depending upon the severity, and you have a new plan which needs to be executed to implement this particular change. Yeah, I do understand it's relatively a long flow, but pretty simple. It's like once you qualify change, you just need to understand the impact of it. You need to put this change in front of a respective stakeholder so that they can take the appropriate decision.